Yo, people, we did something a little bit different for you guys, man. We did something a little different for you guys, man. Obviously, if you've been living under a rock, England got to a final of a competitive tournament for like 60 years now. You know them ones there. How many generations? 6 generations. Oh, okay, no, mate. But you know them ones, yeah, it eventually had to come. But before we get into it, you know the usuals. Like, comment, and subscribe, and share with your people. Fam, the content has been non-stop this summer. So you know the ones, give us our reward, give us our props. You know the ones there. So before we get into England, let's start with Spain and Italy. And we're still gonna look at it from an England perspective, but I wanna get our perspective on what's it called? Who we would rather have faced out of Italy and Spain and just our general thoughts on the game. So I'll start with Carl. What was your thoughts on the game? And from what you saw, who would you rather play between those two from an England perspective?
So like through the whole campaign, everyone would have thought Italy were the stronger side. But going into the Italy-Spain game, in the actual game, Spain were the better side, if I'm being honest, really. Like the Italy we've seen for the whole competition, it wasn't the same in that game. So I still would have said I would have rather England play Spain. However, after seeing that Italy game, England can definitely take Italy, I'd say.
So you would have rather played Italy than Spain?
I'd rather play Spain than Italy. But however, after seeing Italy's performance, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best of performances, to be fair.
Fair enough, fair enough. What about you, Aaron? Aaron's making his debut, big him up, man. But yeah, what was your thoughts on the game, man? Who would you rather face out of Italy or Spain from an England perspective?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate that. And secondly, so with the game, I genuinely believe that Spain should have won that game. There's no doubt about it in my head that they should have won that game. If they had anyone but Morata up front, when he got subbed on, I feel like the substitute in Luis Enrique's mind, it worked. Obviously, he scored the goal, but if they had an actual clinical striker rather than the Morata or the Dani Olmo they were playing there, they would have won that game with ease. I think, I don't know how many shots they had. I think they had like 16 shots. I have it 16 shots, and then Italy had 7 shots that whole game. And then Spain's expected goals were 1.7 and Italy's were 0.6. So stats like that, they don't come around for teams that just sit back and break on the counter. They were all over that Italy side. But the difference is with that Italy side, they know how to defend. They can get the chances in, but Donnarumma is world class. Donnarumma is so good. Yeah, that keeper, he's different levels. But with a defense like Italy has, you can attack them as much as you want, but it's very difficult to wear them down. And you see how much they love defending with Chiellini. He loves that. He's got some sort of fetish for it. I don't understand, but he loves it. He loves it. But on who I'd rather face for England to face, or who I'd rather choose for England to face, I'd have to say Italy. If Italy had Spinazzola still, then I'd say Spain. But I think because I rate that Spinazzola too highly. Like that left hand side would have demolished our right hand side, no doubt about it. But I'd say right now Italy is definitely the best option.
Sarah?
I think the story of Spain's tournament is just like they've created so many chances. Obviously, like even in this game as well, like we're creating so many chances, but a lot of their shots are either straight at the keeper or obviously they're just horror misses. And yeah, I think the midfield was continuing to excel. I think Pedri's probably been their most consistent player throughout the whole tournament. With regards to who I'd rather face, I feel like up front, both teams do actually struggle to score goals. I think even though Italy have looked solid defensively, they're only conceded like 3 goals or something. They have still struggled to score goals. And Mobile has not been very good, if we're being honest. And it's been mainly the wide men that have been coming up with the goals. So if you match it up, it wouldn't really have mattered who we would have got in terms of an attacking sense. But I think I maybe would have rather Spain because I still think when were they going to get their shooting boots together? Because they can't score penalties. They struggled to beat Switzerland and they just got through. And, they went out to penalties this time around. So, maybe Spain, but, time will tell.
What about you, Dan? What was your thoughts on the game and who you would rather face?
Yeah, I thought it was a very entertaining game, especially obviously from a neutral perspective. I thought, as I said before, I think Spain dominated that game. And some of their players had really good games. I think Busquets and Pedri were incredible that game, especially Pedri, considering how young he is. He was very, very impressive. But I think I think Morata came on and he helped them, but he also kind of shot them in the foot as well. Like, because with Morata, he's you know what he is. Like, he's very good in terms of his link-up play and whatnot, but his finishing is just so poor. And Oyarzabal as well, he missed 2 massive chances. And I think that's that was the difference really between them going through and them not going through. And in games like that, it comes down to the fine margins. But to answer who I would have wanted to play, it's a tough one because Spain this whole tournament have not, in my eyes anyway, have not really been convincing. Like, especially during the group stages, the first 2 games, they looked really dreadful. Against Croatia, they went to extra time and conceded 3 goals. But then against Italy, they looked really good, especially in possession, created chances, held the ball well. And then compare that to Italy, who the whole tournament have been one of the favourites, really. Everyone's kind of put Italy up there with the favourites to win the tournament. But then since Spinazzola got injured and in that whole semi-final in general, they didn't really look much of a threat going forward. They did defend very well though. And Donnarumma, I think that guy is a very good goalkeeper. And penetrating their defense could be tough, but as mad as it sounds, it'd probably rather play Italy, because Spain on the ball, it looks like they can hold the ball a lot, and I don't know how England would fare sitting back and defending like Italy did against Spain. So I probably would rather play Italy at this point.
What about you, Denzel? What's your thoughts on what's been said?
Personally, I can't lie. I don't think it matters. Italy, Spain, bring them. I don't care. I feel like England will do their thing regardless.
We'll have him.
Yeah, we'll take anyone. From an entertainment standpoint, from like just in terms of like actually watching a football match, I would feel more uncomfortable playing against Spain, if that makes sense, just because the large amount of possession in which they hold when they're playing football. But I feel like against Spain, if England utilize their wingers properly, they would be able to hit on the break and punish Spain. Because I don't think Spain were that amazing defensively compared to Italy. With the Italians, like Aaron said, without Spinazzola, I think they lack a lot on the left-hand side. And I feel like if Southgate makes the right decision on who he puts on the flank, we can have joy on that side. So yeah, I don't think it really matters Spain or Italy. Obviously, we've ended up with Italy, but yeah, I think England. I think we can beat them. I know that's a bit premature to say. Maybe we'll go into like predictions later on, but I just want to say, yeah, I think that it doesn't really matter too much who we play.
I hear that, man. What about you, Jack? What's your thoughts on what's it called? The Jorginho propaganda, because I know you're a Chelsea fan. And what was your thoughts on the game in general?
Game in general, I feel with Spinazzola going out, Italy weren't really as threatening as they have been in previous games. But with Spain, the way they set up without the striker, it just wasn't really. I still feel Italy should have done much better. And Spain, in terms of threatening, weren't very threatening. They had a few close chances with Oyarzabal, they messing up. But overall, out of the 2 teams for England, I'd say it'd probably be better for England to play Spain out of the 2. Italy will be a harder matchup, in my opinion, especially with how good defensively they are.
What's your thoughts on the Jorginho thing? Because we were talking about that earlier. Do you think the Ballon d'Or thing is a crazy shout or no?
Ballon d'Or is a crazy shout, but he has been instrumental in both Champions League and now the Euros run. So give him his credit where it's due. He's been unbelievable.
Okay. Carl's another one. He's a Jorginho. I don't even know. He's a stan, bro. He's a big stan. But we'll get into Jorginho later because we're going to talk about player of the tournaments as well. David, what was your thoughts on the Italy-Spain game and who would you rather face?
Well, in my opinion, if I was Spain, I would be so angry because I personally feel like Spain were the better team of the day. It's just the same problems they've had since the very beginning. They just can't take their chances. And I don't know, the problem I have with it is like, is it with me? Like I saw the Italian defense; they were tiring. My first thought is bring on Adama Traore, somebody that can run past players and actually try to get something done. Like I feel like they just bought my man for like diversity points or something. Like he's just there for vibes, bro. Like honestly, like it's just like I just don't get the point of having him. Like, wouldn't that be the perfect time to bring him in the game, or am I just waffling here?
I think he was actually supposed to come on, but I think they scored. Because I think I do remember him. He was meant to come on, but he didn't come on. I don't know why. But yeah,
Like,
who do you think who do you think England would prefer to face out of the two?
I mean, if I was England, I'd personally rather go up against Spain because let's be honest, like they play good football, but it's kind of been a fluke because there's not one game you can really say they've played that they've been very, very impressive.
Mm.
I
I
feel
mean,
like
from an attacker's perspective, you could say the Croatia one, but I guess all around you might have a point. Yeah.
it hasn't been impressive. They haven't had one impressive game. Like at least say what you want about England. We played against Ukraine. That was a game where like we imposed our will on them, and we played very well. But you can't really say the same thing about Spain. Whereas with
Did they win a game like 5-0 or something?
Yeah, against Slovakia or Slovenia.
Yeah, so they did have an impressive performance, but maybe because the opponent wasn't
okay,
giving
fair
us
enough.
much props.
I admit I'm wrong on that one. I didn't see that game, but fair enough. But like I'll say with Italy from the beginning of the tournament, I feel like they've probably been like the standout team. They've played well collectively as a team, and I'd personally like rather play against Spain.
No, I hear what everybody's saying, but I think one thing about football is about matchups. It's not necessarily about how good you are at times; it's about how you match up against the other team. Who would England match up best against, Italy or Spain? I probably might say Italy because I feel like against Italy, it's kind of 1v1 sort of thing. It's you against your man. While I think with Spain, it's a more of a mental tasking issue because you look at Spain, all their games, they dominate them. Like they get 65% possession. Is England against as a counter-attacking team, they might enjoy that, you know. So I think with England, they might enjoy both. If I was to choose one for England, I think they would rather probably face Italy because I do think they're on similar levels. They're very close to each other, and especially on a footballing basis as well. I feel like technically England and Spain, I think there is a bit of a gap between those two. So yeah, probably say Italy. But let's talk about England, about Denmark. You know, we need to get this out there. Obviously, it wasn't a pen, and that decision, I can't
Wait,
lie, it was
what did you say?
disgusting. It wasn't a pen. The
Bro,
Sterling
it
thing.
was a pen, bro.
You need Specsavers, bro.
Bro, it was a pen, bro. Like, have you seen the pictures? There's actually contact. Like, as Sterling's running, there's contact.
The first time. But the one where Sterling actually goes down, there was no contact.
But there's still contact, bro, and he's going down. And when you're running at that speed, bro, it doesn't take like a major like impact for you to go down like that. So there was still contact. I would say it's a soft penalty, yeah, but I wouldn't say it's not a penalty. It's very, very soft. But it's not a penalty.
It wasn't a pen, man. I looked at it, Bears, man. There was barely any contact, and there was two balls on the pitch. And obviously,
Okay,
I was
yeah.
looking at UEFA's rules, and it was like, even if the ball's not interfering, you can still continue. But if you see how close the ball was to the other ball,
But Josh,
bro,
to be fair, the referee was so poor the whole
He
game.
was
Like, and
shit.
it wasn't even just to England as well. Like, if we're being honest, the Denmark free kick that they scored from wasn't a free kick. And if we're being honest, how many of their
Exactly.
players should have been booked? Delaney had 6 fouls, not a booking. 6. Come on. And
And I
even
think,
at the end, Kane, there was another penalty shout.
pen shout, yeah.
I looked
So
at
I mean,
it.
people. I think because it's England, yeah, and because like, I understand
that's
it,
a horrible penalty
I
shot.
completely understand it because England, like the media goes a bit mad, the fans can be annoying, so I get it. But I think people are trying too hard because it's England to discredit it and say,
bro,
"Oh,
so
you've been
weird.
handed it, and you can't be like you can't actually be good. You don't deserve to win." Like sometimes just give England like the credit they deserve because let's be honest, Denmark for the last half an hour, maybe 45 minutes of the game, including extra time, were doing nothing
poor,
really.
yeah,
They were
yeah.
just out on their feet, ready to be put out.
Like, my opinion, England were the better team, no matter what. I'm just looking at that specific moment. It wasn't a pen, and it should have been stopped anyway with the two balls on the pitch, innit? And then laser in his eye.
Yeah,
Hey,
that
Denmark had
He
it a bit
still he
unlucky.
still saved it though. I know
Yeah.
that. But he
Yeah, I
still
know. It's
saved
true.
it.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, because the laser's on the other side of his face. It's not. He's not going that way.
It shouldn't have been
Mm.
done regardless, but I don't think it affected Schmeichel.
Say nothing. But let's get our overall thoughts on that game. So, Jack, what was your thoughts on the game, and what impressed you most about their England performance?
Their ability to come from behind, honestly, because once they went 1-0 down, I was just sitting there like, is it just going to be another Croatia situation? But they done well to battle back. Sterling, after the season he had, wasn't the best. To come back the way he has in this tournament, he's unbelievable. That's all I have to say, honestly.
100%, man. David, what about you? What was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, similar to Jack, I was like very, very impressed the way we were able to come from 1-0 down. Because I remember, because you know what England, and as Daniel said, countries don't like us for some reason. I remember one criticism I was constantly seeing is the fact that we haven't been quote unquote tested. We haven't been able to come back from adversity and turn it all around. And it showed that we are capable of doing it at the end of the day. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't really say like we played outstanding football. I wouldn't really say we were at our best, but we got the job done at the end of the day, and that's what's important.
100%. Sarah?
Yeah, similar to what the guys have said, I think that's the first time we conceded, and not even only that, we'd actually gone behind. So it wasn't like we'd already scored. So, I mean, credit to Damsgaard, because that's a big goal for them and a good goal. He's probably going to get a move this summer. But yeah, like I didn't think we played amazing. We took a lot of shots, but I felt at times we got a bit overrun in midfield. I think Højbjerg and Delaney, they got away with a few tackles here and there, and yeah, I didn't think in the midfield we did particularly well. But, going forward, we were there was a lot of interchange. Saka and Sterling were keeping the width quite well, and yeah, I thought the front three had a good game. Again, maybe going forward, we probably need to he's probably still thinking, who's going to play in behind Kane and who's going to play on the right? Because I don't know, maybe he's going to keep it the same as Saka. But yeah, we'll see what happens when it goes forward. Because another thing to remember is with Italy, like we said this before the tournament started, that the fullbacks are poor just in general. With Spinazzola or not, like he's been good this year, but that's a poor position for them. And against Denmark, even though they have a five at the back, we still create a lot of overloads in the wide areas with Luke Shaw coming in and Mount drifting over to the right. So, yeah, we've got to exploit that going into the final.
What was your thoughts?
Just look at Vestergaard's reaction.
Oh, yeah. Because you went to the game, Carl, innit? So, what was the
Yeah.
atmosphere saying, and what did you think about the game?
No, definitely one of the best games I've been to, 100%. Like best atmosphere I've seen, for sure. It was a great comeback from England. I say the first goal was very important. At the time, the timing of that goal was very critical because Denmark, if I'm being honest, since about the 50th minute, there's playing for pens. There's playing for pens from about the 50th minute, and the ref didn't do a good job dealing with how there was time wasting. And the fans were getting heated. England fans getting heated because their men were going down like every 5 minutes. It's slowing down the game. And England, they struggled with handling that because the tempo of the game, it kept switching off. And but in the end of the day, they clutched up when it mattered. But I do feel England, there was a bit of slack on the ball at times. They gave it away, especially in the first about 20 minutes. They've given the ball away quite a bit. And you can't really be doing that maybe against an Italy, maybe. But yeah, it's an incredible game.
Aaron, what was your thoughts on the game?
All right, so yeah, I agree with pretty much what everyone says, so I don't want to repeat them what they've said. But let me say it this way: as Carl said, they wanted to go for pens, and that in a sense, is credit to England's ability to defend very well and our ability to keep a solid defense. We are a very difficult team to break down. You know, a lot of teams have struggled to break us down. We've only conceded that one goal from the set piece, and the only way they could score was from that free kick. There was no other chances that I can remember that were, you know, chances that were like, oh, how did you miss that? Or Pickford had a lucky save or anything. So what I want to say is that England as a total, as a collective, Southgate's made a team that is so difficult to break down. You might not like the way we play, we might be slow, you might not like the players that have been selected, but the way we defend and the way we move the ball about in the back line and hold our lines very well, it is something to be admired. So I mean, credit to England, credit to Southgate on that one. But like I say, we're just very difficult to break down, and I think that's a very hard thing to do. You know, you see Portugal win the Euros, last Euros, in the same sense. Like, they were so difficult to break down, and they got that goal with Eder to win it, and that whole Euros, and Denmark as well. When they won the Euros, they were such a difficult team to break down. So, you know, we can win it by slugging it out. It's not the way I'd like to watch football. I hate that sort of football. But if it wins you games and wins you trophies, then how can you complain?
100%. We might have to talk about Southgate in a minute, man, because I think we can all admit that we got it wrong about him for this tournament, especially. But Dan, what was your thoughts on the Denmark game before we move on?
I think the first half, England wasn't actually that good. Like, I think Phillips and Rice, I'm concerned about them going into the finals. Not so much Rice, but more Phillips, because that first half, I know people won't like to look over it, but if we're being totally honest, Phillips was atrocious the first half. He was very, very poor. Like, I think there was a stat, he lost every single one of his duels. He was misplacing passes. Like, a lot of the time he'd run on his own and press and leave gaps in the midfield. I thought the first half he was very poor, but I think the second half, I think England definitely got into the game, and I think it's genuinely because they're traveling. Like, England's not really had to travel, and Denmark have had to travel all over, really. So I think that definitely was a factor, and that's why, in my opinion, England really came into the game in the second half, and why Denmark looked tired. But as I say, I'm very concerned about Phillips going into the final, especially with the Italian midfield. I think if they really get up firing, we could be in big, big trouble. But overall, I think, yeah, as everyone said, like, defensively, we were very good. Like, despite the fact that they were in the first half, in my opinion, they had the upper hand. I don't think they really had many clear-cut chances. Only the ones that we had, like, individual errors. So, like, when Pickford rolled out the ball to, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Damsgaard. And apart from that, there wasn't really any chances that Denmark created where you could say, oh, they should have scored, or like, we got lucky there. So the system, and I think that's a lot, as you said, a lot of credit to Southgate, because England actually looked defensively very good, and that could be the difference really in the final, whether we win or not, if we can keep that defensive system. But yeah, it was definitely good to see England come back and face some adversity, as was previously said. I can't remember who said it, but I don't know, man. I think we're getting a bit excited. Obviously, it's understandable why we're getting excited. Like, it's the first final we've had in half a century, but Italy are a very good team. But the performance over 90 minutes, it wasn't a fantastic performance, if we're being honest. Like, Kasper Schmeichel was fantastic that game, and a couple of other Danish players were very good, but I don't think until extra time and the end of the first half, I don't think we really imposed ourselves massively, and I think a lot of that was to do with Danish tiredness. So it'd be interesting to see how Italy are in the final, because obviously they went extra time as well, and they've been traveling from Rome as well. So it'd be interesting to see how they do, but I'm a bit skeptical, to tell you the truth.
I hear that, man. I hear that. What about you, Denzel? What was your thoughts on the game?
I thought it was a decent game. Obviously, the occasion and the whole ending to it made it a bigger. Like, it's a big deal for us. But in terms of the actual game itself, England in the first half weren't really amazing, like everyone's been saying, weren't really all that. I feel like in the latter half of the second half and going into extra time, we started to pick it up and we dominated Denmark. The one worry that I have is Pickford. Like, I feel like he's prone to making mistakes a lot, and in a Euro 2020 final, you can't be doing what he was doing against Denmark. The playing out from the back, his distribution was poor in that game. It was very, very poor in that game. And the free kick as well, I feel like he should have saved that, to be honest. I feel like the Italians will look at Pickford and see that as the biggest weakness that England have, and will try and exploit Pickford. So that's the one worry that I do have. Like Dan said, the midfield was mid. It wasn't anything spectacular. Phillips did give the ball away quite a bit as well. So there's a lot of things that needs to be looked out from Gareth Southgate's standpoint. But if he manages to iron those things out, I think we should see an interesting game against Italy.
100%, 100%. You know what? Let's get into the final preview. Yeah. So obviously England versus Italy at Wembley. Fam, it could be coming home. You know, you could say it's already home. If we keep it, is another thing. But you know, let's see. But one thing I want to ask is where do we see the game being won? So what are the key battles we see in this game? And then later on, I'm going to ask you to pick 3 key players from each side that you think are going to be very pivotal to the winning of the game. So, Carl, I'll start with you. What is the most key and important battle in this game?
The key thing for England need to do is to replicate how Spain pressed Italy's midfield and stopped them from being so comfortable in the possession game. I'm the biggest Jorginho fan you'll find, but in that Spain game, the way Spain set up, Jorginho and Verratti, they couldn't get a touch of the ball for half the whole game, and that's they might not be the best of the Italian players, but to stop Italy from just keeping the ball and playing it around and draining the England players, I think that's very key for the game. Obviously, attacking wise, Italy's defense is incredibly solid, but it's gonna be a close game. At the end of the day, it's easy to take your chances and all that kind of stuff, but no, I think in the midfield, stopping Italy from having a possession game and being able to drain the England team, I think that's the most important part of the game.
You know what? You actually made a good point. And another thing I actually want to mention, yeah, it's not even the midfield, it's the defense. Because Chiellini and Donnarumma, they're not that good on the ball. Especially Donnarumma's kicking is very poor. He isn't good. He's not a good sweeping keeper. Obviously, like in terms of his goalkeeping, he's incredible. But in terms of his ability on the ball, he's very poor and he's very sus. And if you pressure him, that could be an avenue for England, definitely. But yeah, Aaron, where do you see the key battles being won, and where do you think they lie?
I completely agree with Cole. I mean, the midfield battle is the key battle. I'd love to see Henderson and Phillips start rather than Rice and Phillips. I feel like Henderson has the ball playing ability that is like tenfold better than Rice. The way we beat Italy is by keeping the ball and playing the ball about and allowing our attackers to be creative source they are and making sure that the ball gets into Kane's feet. If we don't get the ball into Kane's feet, then he's going to be isolated and he's going to be called out, etc., etc. So the way we do that is by keeping the ball with our midfield. Now, I'm an advocate of Grealish over Mount in the middle in the cam position. I feel like Grealish can hold the ball so much better than Mount can. But I think Mount was told in the game we played against Denmark to drift wide and try and get the ball in narrow situations and play the 1-2s like he did with Sancho when we played Sancho. But yeah, I can definitely see the midfield battle being the most crucial. And yeah, like I said, I just want to see Henderson Phillips play. I'd much rather see that to be honest.
Oh, you know, I had a question about that, but we'll get onto that later on. But now that's an interesting shout. But yeah, Dan, where do you think the key battles are going to be in the game?
No, I agree. What said, the midfield is very important, but I think also the England's attack versus Italy defense will be very important because Italy's defense, say what you want about Chiellini, Bonucci, they're old, they're slow, they're whatnot, but they are top quality defenders and they know what they're doing. And as much as we love Harry Kane, his record in big games and big occasions and trophies is one of the worst. So that would be very, very interesting to see how that battle kind of goes. And I think that's it. If Kane can kind of pull them out of position, and I know people have got onto him for dropping deep, but if he can pull them out of position and kind of cause problems for that Italy structure, I think it would be very beneficial for England. And as I said before, I think the midfield is very, very important. And I agree with Aaron. I want to see Henderson in, but not instead of Rice, in my opinion, because I think Rice is very important for England's defensive shape. I think he shields the back four well, and I think he helps a lot with the defense. I think it should be Henderson for Phillips, because I think Phillips and Henderson are.
We'll get onto that
all right,
because
all right,
that's
no
another
problem,
topic. That's
no
another
problem.
topic. What about you, Denzel? What's the key battle?
Yeah, I agree with everyone with saying the midfield battle is the key battle. But I want to highlight the flanks as well.
I was about to say something
I feel
about
like the fullbacks and the wingers, that will probably be our best avenue to get in a goal, because of the middle. Like Italy's defense in the middle is solid with their two centre backs of Chiellini and Bellucci. It's solid, pretty solid there. I feel like if we're gonna get through those two, Kane's gonna need to drop deep and create space for the wingers and the fullbacks to get in behind those defenders. Because of the way we're gonna get past Italy, we have to utilize pace. Because of their intelligent defenders, I don't think getting the ball to Kane and then letting Kane do what he does is gonna work, because of you have two world-class defenders up against him. So I feel like the flanks is going to be a very, very crucial battle as well that we need to look out for. We could see Shaw overlapping, doing link-up play with Sterling, and it's interesting to see who's going to start on the right-hand side as well. So yeah.
No, I 100% hear that. Because remember when Doku was facing the Italian right back, Di Lorenzo, he won a pen. We've all seen Emerson. He's not the greatest left back in the world. You know, Sterling and Saka against them. We'll get onto Saka in a minute as well, but that could be some joy. Sarab, you there?
Yeah. So yeah, you guys have said it, to be honest. I think the midfield, Jorginho and Verratti in particular, they're very press resistant. So unlike what Phillips has been doing in the past couple of games, where he's been, being very rash, coming out of position, pressing really high up when he didn't really need to, we're going to need to be a bit more disciplined and cut out passing lanes, because they're just going to press it all around us. We won't be able to get through. With regards to the fullbacks, I said this already. I think Di Lorenzo and Emerson are there to be had at. Like Luke Shaw's been doing well. He's at times in the Denmark game, he was playing wider than, like, he was coming wider and Sterling was going a bit more central. So yeah, and also a right back. Maybe he might play of Walker to go ahead and try and get balls in, because Kane's going to get marked out of the game. I feel like Chiellini and Bonucci, one of them will be smart enough to stop him not getting too far forward. We haven't really got too much to worry about in terms of, fingers crossed, Immobile or whatever, because I don't think he's been getting enough supply, or he's been going for runs in behind, but the passing hasn't been there. And luckily Barella hasn't been at full tilt either.
Watch out for Chiesa, man. The guy looks like he has the big game gene clutch. Like he looks like he has that big game gene. So let's see, man. But yeah, David, what about you? Where do you think the key battles lie in the game?
It's as if you literally read my mind, because like everything I thought of, you might have actually like hit a nail on the coffin. The only thing I'd slightly disagree with is starting Grealish over Mount. I know we'll get to that later on, but I always say like keep Mount in the team, because he is, you could say, crucial to the system. The way Southgate likes to play, Mount is very crucial. I think there's a way you could do it that you can have both of them in the team as well.
Yeah, we'll touch on that. Before we get onto that, I wanted you guys to name 3 key players from each side that you think are going to have a massive influence on the game. So 3 key players for England. So this doesn't necessarily mean the best players, but it's the most important to the game. You probably have to say Maguire, Kane, and obviously it's one of the midfielders. It would probably have to be. It would be key. You might have, obviously we'll touch on that, but it might have to actually be Mount due to the role he might have to do. But we'll get onto that. And then for Italy, obviously Chiellini, Jorginho, and probably Chiesa, I'd say. David?
Very similar to yours, Josh. For England, I'd probably say Maguire, maybe Rice or Phillips, because that midfield battle is very, very key. It really needs to be won. and probably Sterling, because we've seen in previous games they're very susceptible, especially on that side. And Sterling is someone that can take his man on. So it could actually provide serious problems for Italy. And with Italy, I'd probably say Chiellini, Chiesa, and Immobile, only because, in my opinion, I think he's had a stink in this tournament. And I feel like he really needs to step up, and there's no better opportunity than the final.
No, 100%, man. Carl?
You might sleep on the boy Luke Shaw. I can't even lie. Luke Shaw, he's the guy now. Like he's literally he's a big threat, on going forward. Like I don't know how he's up this game in the last season, but attacking wise for England, he's so crucial. So I'd probably say Luke Shaw. I think Maguire has been very crucial in progressive passing, because I think I big up Declan Rice, but he's not the best at progressive passing and getting it past breaking the lines. That's not his biggest strength. So Maguire is actually very good at getting balls forward as well and dribbling past midfielders. And then I'd say Sterling or the other, I don't know who Southgate will start, but the other winger, because we saw with Saka, we need someone to take on that players, and Saka was very good at. He's got a lot of confidence in his dribbling, so he likes to take on defenders, and obviously with Emerson on that side now, like he's not by no means bad, but obviously he's not world class at all. So yeah, them three, and then for Italy, I'd probably say Chiesa. He's a shoot on sight guy. Like if you watch him play, this guy takes 100 shots a game. Like he just bangs it every single time. Insigne for running past. Like he's another one. He can run at defenders very good. And I'll say Jorginho. Yeah.
Fair enough, man. Aaron?
Right, so for England, I'd like to say, again, Luke Shaw, Carl said everything perfectly, but it's not just his ability to attack, it's going to be because those Italy wing-backs, they love to push forward. Their press is very nice. They like to play how when Spinazzola was there, and I feel like with Emerson as a replacement, I feel like Italy would try and do the same thing to us, because they know how we like to push our wing-backs up sometimes, especially if we play the five. If we play a five at the back with our wing-backs pushing up, then it'll be very crucial for sure to get back. I'd like to also mention Sterling, 100%. I think Sterling is going to be the key player for England tomorrow. And Phillips, if Phillips does start over in that Rice-Henderson-Phillips debate. I'd like to put honourable mention in Sancho if Sancho does somehow get in a starting 11, because in my head, he's the best footballer there. I don't even care. You can argue amongst yourself. He's the best footballer out of that England squad. And then for Italy, Donnarumma, Insigne, and Jorginho, because I feel like we're going to dominate in terms of chances. So Donnarumma is going to have a lot of work to do. Insigne, I feel like he's going to be the person to try and attack our flank. And you've seen Walker be very good in the defensive situations, but when he tries to pass out from the back situation, or passing out the back situation, he's very suspect to misplacing a pass or expecting a player to do a certain movement, but they're not on the same wavelength. And Jorginho, just like you said, he's so anti-press. And if we do play Phillips, then that I'd like to see how that develops. But Italy overall, it's like coming against the Serie A side. The Serie A is very slow paced, and I feel like if we counter that with using a very high pressing tactic, I feel like it'll be quite successful. That's why I wanted Phillips to start. But yeah, they're my six.
Dan?
For England, I think Sterling is crucial. He's number one. I think Mount is also crucial if Mount starts, because in the semi-final I thought he was poor, but I think he brings that work rate and he can rustle the Italian midfielders and defenders. I think the other most crucial player is the other winger, whether it's Saka, Sancho, whoever it is. I think because they're really going to be our outlets, and they're really, as said before, the Italian wing-backs aren't the best. So if we're going to get any joy, it will mainly be from the wings. And for the Italians, I think their most important players will be Chiesa, obviously, because I think he's, as you said, a big game player, and he seems to be their main outlet. Like he seems to be the biggest threat, really, in terms of scoring for Italy. I think Verratti will be very important as well, because he's very good at disrupting teams on the ball, and he's just a very, very top player. And lastly, I think Chiellini. If Chiellini has a masterclass, then we'll be in big trouble.
I 100% agree, man. Denzel?
I would say Sterling, he's been the main man in the tournament. And obviously, we're talking about the flanks. Next, I'll go with Luke Shaw because I feel like him and Sterling, the link-up play, it needs to be impeccable for us to get any joy on that left-hand side. They've been doing pretty well so far, so hopefully they continue what they're doing. For the third option, I'm going to take a bit different. I'm going to say this is a weird one, but substitutions, if that makes sense. A substitution. I feel like the game has the potential to go extra time, and I feel like the substitutions that are made by Southgate will be crucial in whether we win the game or whether we lose the game. And I'll say the same thing with Italy as well. Italy have a decent bench. They have a better bench than most, I would say. So I feel like Italy's sub will be crucial. Chiesa on that right-hand side is clinical. Like Carl said, is a shoot-on-sight guy. And Jorginho, obviously, to stop the press. So those are the players I would say.
And then Sarah, what about you? Who would you say yours are?
So for England, I'm going to say Luke Shaw. I think he's been excellent across the board. I'm going to say Sterling. I think his multitude of ways of attacking, his ability to come in and the goals he scored. And then also, I'm going to say Mount / the other winger, because that player is going to have to sort of come back into the midfield / go to the right-hand side to help cover the midfield and stop the Jorginho Verratti anti-press to get them stop them from dictating, really. I think that's very, very important. Italy, I think Chiellini. I think if Chiellini is orchestrating that defence, I think we've basically got no chance because he knows the fullbacks are poor. So he he's got that extra incentive to keep it strong. I'm also going to say Insigne. I think Insigne is one of their most complete attacker. I think he comes short. He's been going long. He can shoot. It always feels like he's going to cut in and shoot. And I'm also going to say, yeah, that's my 3 players, isn't it? Oh, and Jorginho as well. I think Jorginho is crucial to the build-up, like I said.
Mm. Oh, yeah, I just want to clarify, because I said that Chiellini is poor on the ball. I meant when he gets pressed, he can be quite suspect on the ball, innit? I don't think... I think if you press him, he will give the ball away. So, but he's decent on the ball, but if you press him...
I think Bonucci's better on the ball than Chiellini is.
Oh, no, 100%. Bonucci's a lot better on the ball than Chiellini, 100%. But moving on to our next topic, I got some selection dilemmas that we can pick our brains about and see who we would rather have. So I think Dan was mentioning about Rice. I think Rice will play because he's a sitter. He kind of does sit a bit more than Phillips, so I do think he's going to play. The position that I think is going to be under scrutiny is going to be Henderson or Phillips. This is a final, and you look at the team, not many players have that big game experience, them ones. I can see Henderson, and I probably do see Henderson coming in instead of Phillips. But I want to gather your thoughts, a yes or no, and then a little explanation why Henderson or Phillips. So, Carl?
For me, I don't want to be harsh, but for me, very comfortably Henderson over Phillips personally, because big up Phillips what he's done for the whole tournament so far, but in that semi-final, he was giving the ball away like an absurd amount of times. You can't do that at this stage. Obviously, he's not been to the stage before. He plays for Leeds. No offense to them, but Henderson, he came on as well, and they started dictating the play a lot better. You saw, if you're watching the game closely, you saw when Henderson came on right at the end, especially in that extra time towards the end, they've been able to string together a lot of passes. I think it's like 55 passes they pulled together on the last bit, and then when all the crowds are going crazy, because they're just keeping the ball. Against Italy, you can't be giving the ball away that freely. For me personally, so Henderson, yeah.
I think Denmark went down to 10 men, didn't it? Towards the end, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that explains it. Yeah. But Aaron, what about you? Who would you rather out of those two?
So yeah, it's going to be Henderson hands down. There's no doubt about it. There's 3 main reasons. First of all, he's just a better footballer than Phillips is. His distribution is better, like I've discussed before. Second, he plays for Liverpool, so he's a winner. He's played in finals. He's played in the big games. He's won the Prem. He's won the Champions League. And that's the kind of mentality you need. And the third thing is his leadership qualities. He's a leader. Everyone who talks about Henderson knows in the England squad. They've said he's a leader. They appreciate his leadership qualities. Everyone asks him questions, etc. So, if we do, God forbid, we go 1-0 down first, you're going to need someone who has that bounce back ability. They have that mentality like it's not over till it's over. Whereas with Phillips, I feel like he's like a bull. He's like a bull in the china shop. So if he gets angry, he's done. He's going to fly out for tackles like he was doing against Denmark. He's going to lose the ball. But Henderson, he will keep his head. So Henderson.
Dan?
Yeah, I think Aaron's got it spot on. For me, it has to be Henderson. And Josh knows that when it comes to Henderson, I'm one of his biggest critics. I think to a certain point, he's extremely overrated. But I think it has to be Henderson because, as Aaron said, the leadership. Because even though we've got leaders in that team, like you could argue that Harry Kane being the captain is a leader, and obviously Maguire at the back is a leader. But I think Henderson is a very vocal leader. And I know he gets mocked for it a lot, but I think he brings something that we also don't have. And as a footballer, I think he's just better than Phillips. As much as Phillips has done well, if Henderson's fit, Phillips is not getting near the starting 11. So I think it has to be Henderson. And as Aaron said, he's been there. He's won a Champions League. He's won the Premier League. He's the captain of a Liverpool, which has a lot of very, very good players and been in a lot of very, very good games. So I think that will pay off.
What about you, Denzel?
Yeah, I'll go with Henderson as well. I think it's all about experience. It's the Euro 2020 final. I rate Calvin Phillips for what he's done this tournament. But at the end of the day, no disrespect to Leeds. He's a Leeds player that's just come into the Premier League last season. He hasn't had too much big game experience. With Henderson, like everyone said, he's been in two Champions League finals. Let's not forget, obviously, he's won one and he's lost one. So he knows what it's like to lose and he knows what it's like to win in the biggest, in terms of club football, the biggest game there is. And he's won the Premier League as well. So, and he's the captain of that team that won the Premier League as well. So, in terms of experience and also in terms of just keeping possession, keeping the team calm, motivating the team as well, I feel like Henderson is a safe option to pick. Yeah, so I'd go with Henderson.
Sarah?
Yeah, I think this is pretty obvious. I think I don't like Liverpool, but Henderson is needed in that area of the pitch. I think he should probably be captain of the England team. Obviously, he's not been fit fully, but his distribution and passing is unparalleled for any player in that position that we've got. I don't think Rice is quite there yet, and I think Phillips, even though he's got the passing, I feel like his discipline at times has been a bit off, particularly in the bigger games. And obviously his box-to-box role in that first game was how Sterling scored that goal, but I think in that demo game he was poor. Henderson's going to be useful because, the passings to break the lines, to set off the wingers and to get them off on down the line will be very, very important, particularly if Kane's marked out the game, because then there's no way we're going to get it out. I
hear that. David, Henderson or Phillips?
Yes, similar to what everyone else has said, this is really a no-brainer to me. Although, similar to Dan, I don't really rate him as highly as everyone else rates him. This is the type of game we need someone that offers what Henderson offers, that will know when to press the midfield at the right time and will press them relentlessly. And it's not just that, it's the fact, as you guys have also said, that he is better on the ball than Phillips is. And we need that composure and experience to get something out of this game.
I hear that. Second question now. So that's got to do with the right wing spot. Saka, Sancho, or Foden. You could argue Sterling as well.
I was going to say that, yeah.
But I think for what Sterling's done, we can actually get onto that one later because there's another one as well. But what's it? Saka, Sancho, or Foden? Let me start with you, David.
Sancho every day of the week. I rate Saka not as highly as everyone else seems to rate him, but I do rate Saka. I rate Foden as well. Obviously, he's not as good as Mason Mount, but he is still a very good player. But I still feel like Sancho is the type of player we need in a game like this, that is very elite at creating for his teammates, and his ability to beat his man one-on-one is probably, I'd say, best in the England team. And we need someone like that to get a result out of the game.
Dan?
You know that I come into this holding a heavy point of bias. So, but for me, I think Saka, man, because that's my guy. Because I think he's been fantastic all tournament, really. Like, he won man of the match one game. I think even when he's come, like even the games where he's come off and Grealish has come on, I think Saka has just been superb, really. And I get that Sancho probably right now is quite a few, maybe 2, maybe 3 years further in terms of his development. But I think Saka has shown what he's offered to the team, and I think it'd be harsh to drop him, man. So I accept that it's probably very, very biased, but I think Saka. But one thing I would also say, I think Saka's a bit of a victim of the disease that I call Arsenal. If Saka didn't play for Arsenal, he'd be rated significantly higher than what he is. Like, I think people try and pick faults and try and downgrade him because he plays for Arsenal and they don't like Arsenal. But it is what it is at this point. We're used to it.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I kind of feel like it's maybe the opposite, in my opinion.
Definitely not, bro.
No, let me explain. Because I do believe like Saka has like very, very good potential. And I still feel like he's very good. But you get those, Dan, I know that's not you. You actually, like, you are very level-headed. You get those done out here, deluded Arsenal fans that will tell you that Saka is clear of Sancho, or Saka's clear of this player and is clear of that.
Bro, let's put it into perspective, though. Foden's had a poor Euros, and no one's really said much in terms of how good he is as a player. No one's really... They've kind of poked some jokes about how his hair and whatnot, Fugaza. But if that was Saka that put in Foden's performances, people would be saying that he's worse than Harvey Barnes. People would be saying...
That's because... But can I say quickly? That's because he plays for Arsenal. Foden has the luxury of playing for Man City, and I'll say that because of no one really gives a crap about Man City. Yeah? When it's an Arsenal player or a United player or a Chelsea player, you're easily subjected to slander because of people actively hate your club. No one really actively hates Man City. Like, I'm a United fan, but City aren't our biggest rivals. I wouldn't say that they're our biggest rivals. Like, so I feel like with Man City players, it's different. They're able to get away with having crappy performances because no one really acts their club like that. Because at the end of the day, no one really sees City in the same light as a United or a Chelsea or an Arsenal. So yeah.
But that's my point, though. That's why he's a victim of Arsenal.
I think it's just because Arsenal were quite crap this season. If Arsenal came like 6th, 7th, but if they came like very close to the top 4, I don't think people would have the same. Obviously, there will always be people trying to ban Arsenal, but I don't think people would really go against them as much. But
that's just the issue I have with it. I think that's the issue I kind of have with it. It's the fact that, like, I'm not blaming this on Saka because he's had a very good season at this point in his career, but it's the fact that Arsenal they finished well below standard, and you have someone like Jadon Sancho. Although, if you want to say the Bundesliga isn't as competitive as the Premier League, I agree with you, but it's still a top 5 league, and the numbers.
But the maddest thing is, people will apply Bundesliga tax until it's to their favourites.
I feel like that Bundesliga nonsense tax is just stupid.
Like, how is Bundesliga tax stupid?
It's still a top 5 league.
Perfect sense.
Like,
it's a meaty league that allows wingers to have all the space in the world.
Unless it's Sancho.
No, I'll apply Bundesliga tax to Sancho as well. He needs to come and do it in the Prem. But we've seen that he's a good player, he's a quality player, so yeah.
Such a geezer mentality. Come and do it in the Prem, mate.
Yeah, bro. Like, I just don't get that. Like, it's still. Do you want to say that their style of play is different to the way we play at the Premier League? I agree with you, but it's still a top 5 competitive league in Europe. Let's not act like 2 seasons ago the best team in Germany won the Champions League and they did it destroying teams. So it's not as if like
But that's just Bayern. That's not the league itself, because the league
No.
itself is meaty apart
But
from
let's
Bayern.
let's be honest, David. Let's be honest.
Yo,
Wout Weghorst scored 20 goals in that league last year. If he comes to the Prem, I don't think he's touching 12.
we say that again.
Wout Weghorst bagged 20 goals last year. Kramaric 20 goals last year. I don't think they're touching 12 if they come to the Prem.
But I feel like even with coming to the Prem, that's why I say it's probably by far the best league in the world. With the Prem, you have to have a style of play. You get what I'm saying? Like with Werner, although I'm not gonna backtrack and say I didn't rate the guy. I still do rate Werner. That's my guy. I'll still always back him. But let's actually deep it. The way his play style and the way he's built is not suitable for the Premier League. For you to be a good player in the Premier League, you need to have some type of physicality. It's not just being a pace merchant.
Oh man, get off that, bro. But you know what? I do hear what you're saying with the Bundesliga. Yeah, the reservations or the question marks about their defensive structure. The league is fair. Like teams do play with a high line, and you see that a lot of the goals. And so I'm not really disputing when people say, I'm not sure about that player like Andre Silva. I know Daniel was saying I'm not sure about him. I do understand when people have reservations about, but I feel like people try and diminish the quality of the league a bit too much.
What about Sancho though? But what about Sancho? Like, because Sancho, we've
But,
not really seen
one
too much
thing
of
that I
him
wanna-
in the tournament.
Let
Like
me
just
quickly
for
say-
Euros. Like we haven't really seen too much of him in the tournament. So like, how do you think he really is so much better that he deserves to start the final?
Can I answer that
Yeah.
quickly? We saw him in the one game that he played, and he played very, very well. Well, it wasn't amazing, but he had a good game. And another thing, when you said about the Bundesliga attacks and why don't we apply it to Sancho? I'll apply it to Sancho in terms of the Bundesliga, but we've seen Sancho have great games in Champions League matches. So we can see that that's a quality player. So the Bundesliga attacks thing in terms of Sancho, you can use it, don't get me wrong, but not to the same degree as certain other players, because we've seen him do it we've seen Sancho have a masterclass against Barcelona. I know the Barcelona team isn't as good as it was in prior years, but we've seen Sancho put up big performances against big opponents. So yeah, we know that he has the capacity to play well in big games.
Should I just end it? It's eye test. You should use eye test. You can know if a player's quality or not. Eye test. You know what? I've completely forgot. We'll talk about Saka, Sancho, and Foden, innit? Wait, who's spoken? So I've completely forgotten. I know David has, and Dan, innit? And then Denzel, you spoken, innit?
Yeah, but I didn't say. Obviously, I'm gonna go with Sancho.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with
so
Sancho.
You done?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, my pick is Sancho. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Sarah.
Sancho, he's the best two-way attacker we've got. Easy.
Fair enough, Aaron.
Yeah, everyone knows I'm going to say Sancho anyway. I've already said it, but I agree with Josh completely. When you look at a footballer and the way they play, the way they have the ball in their feet and the way they control the ball in their feet and the way they distribute the ball in their feet, it's not because they're in a shit league that they can do that. It's because they know what to do in their head. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the way Saka distributes the ball. That's my pet peeve with him. Everything else with him, I admire. I like the way he tracks back and the way he defends and helps the defense out, but I cannot stand the way he distributes the ball. If he didn't get that assist against Denmark, I think that was a stinker. That's as simple as.
You know what the thing with Saka, yeah? I think eye test wise, if you get what I mean, he's not like, he doesn't like have the.
He don't pass the eye test, in my opinion.
He does pass the
I
eye
don't
test.
think he does.
I don't think he does.
He does pass the
I
eye
don't
test.
think he does personally.
not
I think he works hard and he has a very good work rate, and that's what people give him a lot of props
he
for.
does pass
But
the eye
I
test.
don't think.
Let me jump in really quick. So you see, Saka beat
But
the.
can I just quickly say?
Against Germany, for example.
I've said in previous things that I don't really rate the high test as highly as Josh does. I don't think it's that important. But for me personally, I don't think he does. Carry on, sorry.
No, I think Saka passing the eye test, I don't agree with that. Obviously, everyone is subjective. Everyone has different qualities that they rate, but I don't think that's a thing, man. And him having stinkers, loads of players have had stinkers. Mason Mount had a real stinker in the semi-final. And
Mason Mount's been poor this tournament, in my opinion.
A lot of people agree that he should start. Like, I mean, I will probably get onto that, but Mason Mount, especially in the semi-final, I think he offered literally nothing. But Saka, like, I think people have been a bit harsh with him, especially with that. I don't agree with that eye test, man. I think, especially against Germany, for example, where he picked the ball up in his own half, made a run into the German box and created a chance, beat 4 or 5 players. How can you say a player like that doesn't pass the eye test, man?
I think the thing with Saka, yeah, he's not as silky on the ball as a Sancho, innit? Sancho is like the benchmark of an eye test player, you know. The ball looks glued to his feet, and Saka, you can say he looks a bit. He has control of the ball, but he's not as aesthetically pleasing. You get what I'm saying? But he does pass the eye test, and he's a quality player.
But you could argue that someone like Hudson-Odoi has the exact same thing as Sancho, where he passes the eye test, but Hudson-Odoi, I think we've got to the point where a lot of people agree he's not really made that step yet. He passes the eye test, but he can't. His output is not there. He can't use it to really affect the game. So I think it needs to.
Would you not say with Cho that's due to a lack of experience that Saka and Sancho have got? That's why he's not been able to.
You could say that.
Showcase it as
Yeah,
much.
you
as
could argue
those
Saka has a lot of game time for someone his young age.
Bro, we'll talk about Cho another time, and you know the ones. Carl, what's it? Saka, Sancho, or Foden?
You know, it is. I think Dan's being very reasonable. If I'm being 100%. I'm a Sancho fan as well, but I think you guys are being a little bit harsh. Not gonna lie. I'm not saying that it's clear either way, but when we talk about pressure test, Saka's passed the pressure test. To be fair, for Arsenal and for England, and if you want to make comparisons, the fact is, and it can't be debated, that Saka has been a very clear Foden in the Euros when it came down to the pressure. That for me, that can't be debated. So that's Foden out the door for me personally. He shouldn't be starting. So it comes down to Sancho and Saka. And then I have to come back to Dan's point about it would be harsh from Southgate to drop Saka. That's the thing. But same way, Sancho, the quality that he can bring is unquestionable. And for me, his take on ability, dribblings, finishing, he has the full package, as we've seen from Man United buying him in the first place. So I don't even want to be sitting on the fence really, but if Southgate keeps Saka on the team, I think that's very reasonable. If I'm being honest, I do get what you mean about output of Saka. But at the end of the day, he's got assists, he's got he's man of the match, all this sort of stuff. Like he's performed on the big stage. But yeah, now I'm a Sancho fan. I'll be honest. So either way, but what I'm saying is Foden's not in the question for me. I don't think Foden is touching either of them, to be honest.
Yeah, Foden is not in. You know, because Ore says this a lot, that he doesn't really like traditional wingers. If you play Sancho on the right, he's going to be predominantly on his right foot. He can't cut in. But we saw when Sancho played with Sterling, they interchanged a lot. But with Saka can cut in. Emerson isn't great 1v1.
I was gonna say
Saka would beat him 1v1.
Can I quickly ask though, who do you think has a better chance of ripping Emerson 1v1, Saka or Sancho? Personally, I think Sancho.
No, Sancho is the better dribbler, but I'm looking at where they're playing. Saka has the opportunity that he can cut inside, which, I mean, Sancho, he is good with both feet, but he's not going to cut in in the right-hand side while Saka can. So I'm probably leaning to put Saka in, even though I think Sancho is the much better player. But I think Saka, what he offers, and it's not always about who's the best player, it's who can offer you the most. And I think Saka probably would offer you more in the right-hand side for that game. Because I'm not even just looking at it from the attacking perspective, but from a defensive perspective as well. So I really want to put Sancho in, but I have to put Saka, if I'm being real. And it's one of them ones where you can bring on Sancho anyway, so I don't think is
but he's not going to do that. He's not going to bring on Sancho. He will not. If Saka starts, he will not bring on Sancho. But can I ask you, Josh, quickly, when you said it's just about like how close is it between Saka and Sancho? That choice.
What? Just on the right hand side.
Yeah. What pushes it for you? Is it the work rate?
The fact, I feel like what pushes it for him, I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but I think the fact that he's left-footed and he cuts in is why you're giving it to him. But that's just based on the fact that he's left-footed.
Exactly.
Basically, you're giving it to him because he's left-footed.
Yeah, pretty much.
If we think about it, how we were talking about before, we were saying the Bundesliga tax year, it has no right to be in the talk with international football because we've already said that Italy's left back is a weak left back. Italy's right back, weak right back, you know. And if you say Sancho's doing it in the Bundesliga where there's weaker players, then he can do it in this system against weaker fullbacks that he's going to be attacking. So I feel like having that in international sense is not the right thing. But if you're going to talk about it in club sense, I understand it, because you're going to be against high quality players all the time, like the Prem versus the Bundesliga. But if it's international football, Italy's fullbacks are very weak. And the one that Sancho is going to attack is very predominantly weak because he's substituting someone who's got very big boots to fill in the form of Spinazzola. And that guy's going to be under so much pressure to perform how Spinazzola performs. So credit where credit's due to Emerson. He did it against Spain. There was some nice pressing. But if you're going to come up against someone like Sancho and Emerson, you know that Sancho will beat the man. And if you think that, Sancho can't cut in, Sancho's not meant to cut in this game. If we see how we've been attacking on the left-hand side with Shaw crosses it in, but Kane's not in the box. The way we want to attack is to get the ball high in the air and aerial battles. I don't think we've seen us play intricate football in between the box, in between the lines this whole tournament. So if you're going to ask the question, cutting inside, you won't see it. If Saka plays, you won't see him cut inside and make a clear-cut chance with that shot, with that pass, or with that cross. But with Sancho, you will see him beat the man and try and make the chance because he's a better chance creator, in my opinion.
He is. Like I totally believe, and I know Sancho is the better player, but it's just a thing of what I feel like Saka can offer you on the right hand side for this game would be more than what Sancho is. You know what I'm saying? Even
Can
though
Can I just quickly say what Aaron said is spot on. When you look at most of England's goals, they've come from first time passing it to the wings and then getting a ball in. That's mostly what's happened. It hasn't come from someone cutting and doing step overs, cutting back in and then curling it into the top corner. No, that hasn't been happening. The way we get goals is playing it to the flanks, getting a ball in and getting a tap in, normally coming from either Sterling or Kane, or getting a cross and getting a head onto it in terms of Maguire and Kane. So the whole cut in and let's play Saka on the wing ahead of Sancho because he's left-footed, I don't really understand personally.
However, Denzel.
Go on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Based on that logic, Denzel, to be fair, if you're talking about running down the flank and crossing it in, based on your logic, you're asking for Walker to be dropped to Reece James. Based on your logic, technically speaking. So
Walker's poor going forward.
No, but in terms of the fullbacks, let me just quickly answer that. In terms of the fullback, you need one fullback that's pressing forward, and then one that stays back while the other's pressing forward. So with a system with Shaw and James, you're not gonna have both your fullbacks bombing forward. That's not gonna work. So I don't see how that argument makes sense in terms of what you're saying, because we're getting most of the joy from the left-hand flank, and because of Shaw's bombing forward and Walker staying back and his recovery as well. So I know Reece James is very, very good at getting balls into the box and all that, but in terms of the system, it's probably best that Walker plays, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But I want to say one more thing though, just final. I'd prefer Saka to start, obviously, because I'm an Arsenal fan, so there's that bias there, but there's not, in my opinion, I wouldn't really mind either. The one thing I would say is that when Italy played Belgium, the most dangerous player on the pitch was Doku. And that was because he was cutting in and causing so many problems. He even won a penalty. And at one point in the second half, he cut in and nearly rocketed it in from like 25 yards. So I would say Italy could be, that could be an area of weakness. Maybe it's a bit of a reach, and maybe that's already kind of checked off with Sterling, but that might be something just to think about.
100%, man. It is a conversation, man. It is a conversation. And even then, let's look at the final one. My whole topic really was should Grealish start? I didn't really have a Grealish versus Mount, but I guess it'll kind of come in. So start with Aaron, do you think Grealish should start, and where should he start?
Oh, where should he start? Okay, I was going to say over who. So we've said this. I know David doesn't like the fact that I think it is Grealish over Mount. And I know Mount has so many more qualities in terms of interplay, but Grealish can carry the ball. He's a tenfold better ball carrier than Mount, in my opinion. And the way we want to attack it, let's talk about it with some perspective. It's against Italy. It's against the team who's going to sit rather deep and not press us. You want someone to carry the ball forward who won't get carried away with the passing and trying to play direct into Chiellini and Bonucci.
I think Italy will press though first after that, especially.
I think so. With that, I feel because it's a final, I don't think they're going to play as aggressive as they would if it was like maybe another group stage match. If this was group stage England versus Italy, I'd definitely take Mount because they're going to press and Mount's definitely better at keeping the ball. But Grealish, in terms of passing, but Grealish as a ball carrier, I feel like it will be a much more beneficial for us. So I'd like to start him in a cam position in that centre just behind Kane, so Kane can drop and Grealish can go, maybe even play higher up the pitch as the second striker. But I'd like to see that.
While I agree Grealish is the better player, and in a normal game, I would play Grealish over Mount. I think Mount could do a job on Jorginho. That's why I would play Mount over Grealish. And I do think Grealish, people dick ride him a bit too much, man. I can't lie to you.
No, I agree with that. I agree that people see him as Hazard. People see him as someone who he's not. They see him as prime Hazard. I don't think there's levels to this. But in terms of ball carrying, though, there's no doubt about it. He's better than Mount at carrying the ball, and that's what I would like to see. But that's a personal opinion.
100%, I hear that, man. What about you, Carl? What are you saying? Grealish in?
The thing is, Joey, to be honest, it doesn't matter. I'll be honest. If it doesn't matter, because you know why? It's because it's what you said. Grealish, we hear that he can take on guys, all this kind of stuff. But then if that's his biggest thing, then bring him off the bench when people are tired, and he can take on whoever he wants. That's certainly, and he's being a threat from coming off the bench. And then we go to Mason Mount. Like his defensive side of his game is very underrated. Grealish is not tracking back. I'll be honest. Grealish is not tracking back like Mason Mount is gonna do. I've been critical of Mason Mount in terms of creativity. I'll be honest. I'm not Mason Mount's biggest fan. I'll be honest, but he's a good team player that you need in a final. But then we go back to Grealish. The last point is that I'm not being biased, but Jorginho, if Grealish is trying to track Jorginho, the guy's having a field day. The guy will have the biggest field day of his career because Grealish he's not tracking or getting down any kind of player. But so that's where it comes to the point where it doesn't matter. the game won't be won from Mount or Grealish, if I'm being honest.
I hear that. Dan?
I think it depends on how England want to play. I think if England want to play with the ball the majority of the time, kind of like Spain, I'd prefer Grealish because in that Denmark game, I think Mount was very poor. Like I don't think he really offered anything. But I think they both have pros and cons. Like I think with Grealish, as you said, he wins a lot of fouls, which obviously we've looked very dangerous from set pieces. So I think that's a big benefit. I think he carries the ball really well. I think he attracts danger. He drifts out wide and links well with Sterling. So there's that. However, I don't think he tracks back. I don't think he has the work rate that Mount has. And I think he on Jorginho, I think as Carl said, I think Jorginho would have a field day if we don't have the ball. However, with Mount, I think Mount really would press the Italians, especially Jorginho, Chiellini, Donnarumma. I think he'd really hassle them and help defensively as well. But I don't think he offers as much going forward, like with the ball. So I think it really depends how Southgate wants to play and how we see ourselves matching up with the Italians. One thing I would say about Grealish, though, is that he has, as Carl said, he has come off the bench really well. And against Italians who have just come off an extra time against Spain, it might be better for him to come off the bench and see if he'd be more effective against tired legs than starting.
I hear that, man. What about you, Denzel?
Yeah, I do prefer Jack Grealish as a player, but in terms of the system in which we're playing, a lot of respect I'll give to Mason Mount is in terms of his pressing. He is very, very good at pressing. Creatively, he's not the best. He doesn't really excite me that much going forward, but his pressing is essential. And like Carl said, it's very, very underrated defensively. Both of them against Jorginho, I don't really see them getting any joy, honestly. I don't think the middle is the avenue that is going to win us the game, personally. I feel like the best option is to start Mount, not because of his amazing or anything like that, just in terms of the system and how we play, it just suits Mount better. And I feel like bringing Grealish off of the bench and him generating fouls against tired Italian legs, getting us set pieces, and we all know that England are dangerous from set pieces. I feel like tactically it's better for Grealish to come off the bench, maybe in the second half try and get us fouls and generate free kicks. So I would start Mount for that reason, but not because of he's done anything special, really. And one thing that I want to say is it's a shame that Foden's played so badly in this tournament, because if we got the Phil Foden that had been firing for Man City all season, I feel like he's a bit overrated in terms of the end of the season. He's getting a bit too much plaudits from the pundits and all that. But I feel like Foden's actually a good player, and in a calm position, if he was playing at his best, I feel like he could do a good job, because he's decent at pressing and he's good at carrying the ball as well. So I feel like a prime Foden would have been good, but we've seen at the moment in tournament he's been whack. So for that reason, I'll go with Mount.
I think the thing with Mount, the way I look at him, is that he can't be your main creator. He actually is creative, but he can't be the main creator. He has to be the secondary. So like a Grealish or a Sancho should be the main creative hub of the team, and then you got your secondaries like your Mounts. Maybe Sterling can make a couple chances. That's how I kind of see Mason Mount. And even with the way they play, they don't really play for the middle like how we were saying. So when you're not playing for the middle, what's the point of playing with a 10? So really, Mount isn't really playing as a 10. He's just playing as a third 8 sort of vibe, innit, where he's just the most advanced. But yeah, I do agree. Mount has been poor this tournament. He hasn't offered much. But I do think he could do a good job against Jorginho, though, because I have seen Mount, when he gets tasked with like marking a specific player. I remember him against Derby, when he was playing against Derby, and he had to mark Fabregas, and he did a great job. So I do think he can do well against players of that mold. Sarab, what about you? Who are you saying?
Yeah, like you sort of said it, to be honest. Like, I would play Mount because of his defensive discipline, and like, let's not act like he's gonna be tackling Jorginho every game. Like, he just needs to get in the way of the passing lanes, get in the way of Verratti, get in the way of Bonucci and Chiellini. Like, just stop them from building and dictating play. I don't think Grealish can do that, and I love Jack Grealish. I think he's a great player, but he's not going to play on the wing, and he's not going to play in the middle. So he's sort of playing as a third central midfielder. He doesn't need to play as a number 10, to be honest. He can go anywhere. And then also, we got to remember as well, Mancini this tournament has been making most of his changes in the midfield, come 60 minutes, come 70 minutes. So that's when you bring Jack Grealish on to deal with Locatelli, to deal with Pessina. Like, like Denzel said earlier on as well, like the subs are going to be crucial. So maybe Jack Grealish is perfect from that.
No, I do agree with that one. Grealish off the bench might be interesting, man. What about you, David?
Oh yeah, similar to what everyone else has said. Obviously, I'm starting Mason Mount, and I feel like this narrative that he's been very poor in the Euros is not really true. Like, do you want to say he's not played to the same standard he was played at when he was at Chelsea? Yes, you could say that, but I feel like it's just the system Southgate has wanted him to play. I know, like, he starts as the number 10, but I don't think he stays as a number 10. Like, he drifts across the final third and like to link up with the other players. So I feel like it's just the system with him. But in a game like this, as you guys have said, you need someone that's going to be able to press and have the defensive discipline to stop Italy from pulling the intricate passes.
100%. You know, the next thing that we're going to do now, we're going to do a joint 11 for England and Italy. Let me pull it up here. So what are you saying, 4-3-3?
Yeah, that's best, yeah.
4-3-3, I hear that. What are you saying, Denzel? 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3?
I'll say 4-2-3.
I was thinking 2-3. Yeah, I was thinking 4-2-3-1.
4-2-3-1.
Bro, who's going as a 10 then?
Yeah, no.
I think 4-3-3.
Oh, yeah, there's not really an amazing. Yeah, there's not really an amazing.
No offense to Money Mace, but he's not getting in.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, do you guys think they'll play this, or is this just our best 11?
No, it's the joint 11 of Italy and England.
So they're the best.
Yeah, the best players. This one is pretty easy.
Yeah, Donnarumma.
How do you spell his name? I just put
D-O-N-N.
Big Dom.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Don, not Dom.
D-O-N-N-N. Yeah.
Oh,
Donnarumma.
Don. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Donnarumma.
My bad.
Big Dom, you know. Whoa, pause.
That's the easiest way.
From Robbie.
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
100%.
Spinazzola, man.
No, but
What are you saying? Over the tournament, over the whole tournament.
Yeah,
Nah,
that's
let's
Spinazzola,
talk. Let's
bro.
do a final 11.
yeah, is this not for the
This guy
final?
wants Shaw's place secured in that
He
team.
wants to be United
What a
player.
lie! If Shaw Cook's in the final, he's getting in team with the tournament over
This guy wants his
Spinazzola.
place secured in that team.
Yeah, let's just
Cooks
do
in the
based on the
final.
final then. Let's just do based on the final.
Yeah.
But Denzel, you know Spinazzola will be in there ahead of Shaw, innit?
No, it depends if we win the tournament or not.
Nah,
If we win
bro.
the tournament,
Nah,
Luke Shaw's
bro.
getting a team with the tournament. I don't care. It's happening. Because
Uh,
how can you be one of the how can you win a tournament with a country and be arguably top 3 in that country's best player and not being team of the tournament?
Yeah.
So was Spinazzola though.
Yeah, you can say the same thing.
Yeah, but if if Italy win tomorrow, not tomorrow. If Italy win on Sunday, Spinazzola will be in team of the
But doesn't
tournament.
that, but if they lose, doesn't it make it more like? Doesn't it make it more for him because they're worse when
But
he's not
what
in the team?
I'm gonna say is if Shaw has a masterclass in the final, there's no way you can't give him team
Yeah,
of
I
the
get what
tournament because every game that he's played in, he's cooked. So
Your boy's in there. Your boy's in there. Like, it's all right. It's all right. Who's
Denzel
saying
is
next?
tough.
Maguire,
This is
innit?
tougher than we think.
Yeah, but I think
man.
Maguire's going. Maguire's going.
I bet
He's
Denzel
going.
goes in.
I think it's Maguire and Chiellini.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
100%.
Shout out Stones though.
Yeah.
Stones done well. I don't even know how you spell Chiellini's name, but
But there's an eye.
There's 2 L's. There's 2 L's, isn't it? I think. Or
Just
one
call
L.
him George, innit? Just call him George. It's fine.
I'll leave that. People
Reece
understand.
James.
Don't you real with the right back?
Yeah, Reece James, bro. That's what I'm going with.
Nah, the thing is,
What?
both right backs.
No.
Both right backs.
No, it's
Walker.
Walker. It's
Well,
Walker.
nah,
Both-
I'll go.
They're
I'll
both
go.
weak links in the
Wait,
in this
one
team.
at a time. One at a time. Carl.
Yeah, both the right backs. If I'm being honest, both the right backs have been. When you want to highlight the weakest player in each team, you probably got to look at the right backs of each team. If I'm being deadly honest, Walker hasn't. Don't get me wrong. He's very, very solid player, but he hasn't impressed too much to be in some sort of
He's
combined.
better than Di Lorenzo with his
Yeah,
name.
he's better. Yeah, I think so. He can recover, innit? He's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has the pace.
Yeah, so
well,
we're saying
Walker.
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 Yeah. That's interesting. England have dominated that defense.
I mean, England have only conceded 1 goal though, so it shouldn't really be surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. First.
I think
Jorginho.
the
Jorginho
three.
definitely takes a biscuit there, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Variety. I'm sorry, man.
Really? Wait, did Variety even play in the beginning?
No, he missed
Against
two
Wales,
games.
and he dropped a masterclass. That's all I know.
Mm.
That's all I know. So,
Okay, Wales.
who else? Who's the final one?
Henderson, I think.
No, it's not. It's not.
Nah, nah.
No, it's not Henderson. He's barely played.
It's
No,
based
but
on the-
you know,
it's
if
based
I
on
was
just
to
the
play tomorrow,
Euros, isn't it?
To play tomorrow, who would be better? Not out of the whole tournament. I thought this was for tomorrow. Did we not agree?
It's Barella. It's Barella there. It's
Oh,
Barella.
yeah.
But yeah,
Barella
Barella.
there.
Barella's a baller, man.
But Barella's not been fantastic the whole tournament.
Yeah, he's not been amazing, has
Nah,
he?
but
So-
no-
It's been,
look at
if
him.
we're going best of the tournament, then it has to be Barella because
Yeah,
he's
if it's
been
based on
better than
tournament.
most.
Yeah. I
based
agree
on
with
the
that.
tournament. Based on the
Yeah.
tournament.
End of the day, knockout
Oh, I'm
games.
putting it.
So no shots for Rice and Phillips.
No way.
Nah.
Not over
That's fucking
Jorginho,
rubbish.
but they've been pretty good.
Yeah, I think because like if Jorginho was in a different position, I think Rice would be there because I think like he's a big reason England have been so solid defensively.
Hmm.
You know this one's
I'd say-
interesting. Yeah, I was thinking, could we put Sterling on the right and then Insigne?
Yeah.
I like Sterling on the right
That's
in the
what I
game.
think. I think
prefer
Insigne
Sterling
and
on the
Sterling.
right.
And to be
Insigne,
honest,
I don't
honestly,
like Insigne.
yeah, neither do I. Honestly, I'll put Chiesa on the right and Sterling on the left.
100%.
Has Chiesa been
Yep.
that
I
good?
Chiesa's
think
been
Insigne
good.
is-
Nah,
I
I've
think
been
Insigne
clear of
is
Insigne,
worth his spot.
in my opinion.
I'm not sure about that, man.
Sterling's
Insi-
better than Insigne. I'm
For
telling
me,
you.
yeah,
straight.
Insigne seems to do everything right up until the end. Like he seems to always play the wrong pass, or his shot seems to be off, or seems to lose the ball. Like, I think he struggles really with output, and I know that may come to bite me in the backside when he scores in the final. But I don't think he's been as good as Sterling or Chiesa.
Wait,
I think. Can I quickly wait? I'll let it David go.
Can I just say something about Chiesa? I have never seen a player in my life that does not have an A button as much as this guy does. Every single time, bro, man shoots on sight. I've never seen it in my life.
Yeah.
Great, man. I heard it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Josh, quickly. You said something when we did the in-person pod about volume players. I feel like Insigne is a volume player. You have to give him hella chances before he bags.
Yeah.
He's not really a
So,
goal scorer like that.
Sterling-
He's creative.
But Sterling is clean. Like based on this tournament, Sterling's been very clinical.
Yeah.
But there's been a couple misses, but for the most part, it's been very clinical. I think you have to put Sterling on that
Yeah, it
left-hand
has to
side.
be. Yeah, it has to be.
100%.
So who's on the right then?
Chiesa.
Chiesa.
I'm not sure if I'm
Saka.
feeling that
Nah,
one.
you're outnumbered. You're
I'm not
outnumbered.
sure about Chiesa as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, Chiesa.
No, should I say why? The reason why Chiesa's on the team, there's no other player in the whole Euros who has had the audacity to get the ball every single time and run at a defender and just launch the ball.
Prime circle, bro.
Like literally, who's doing that? Who's adding that kind of pressure to defenses? No one's doing it. No one in England. That's why I know. Like,
I think that's a solid side though. If you look at it on paper, it's a very.
1,
it's
2,
very
3. There's 5 English players
Yeah.
and 6 Italian players.
that's a very
I mean,
good side.
if we take the keeper out, I think it is good, half and half. Like
Oh, yeah.
keepers-
It's a pretty balanced team. Like
yeah.
England,
Yeah.
Italy's pretty close. And let's get into that. Is it coming home, lads? Is it coming home? Is football apparently finally coming home, even though it's
Coming
not?
home.
Coming home, you know what I mean? Fucking hell.
But David,
Nah,
the big question. Wait.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. Go on.
Is football finally, after 55 years, coming back home?
Oh, it's fucking coming home, mate. It's fucking coming home, mate. It's coming home. Nah, but like 65 years, bro. Like, who was it I was saying? That's how many generations is that? 6 generations.
Bro.
Since the last time this country was in the final, bro.
Yeah.
And we're doing it in our stadium. Everybody in the country watching, bro. We have to win it.
We have to win it. Yeah.
We have to win it, bro. It has to come on.
Oh, I hear that,
In our
man. I
back
hear that.
garden.
What about you, Dan? What are you saying? You look a bit pessimistic.
I'm scared, man. I'm scared because there's the captain of the team is the ultimate bottle job, and like even the penalty he got
He
very
missed it.
lucky.
Bro, that was a terrible
Missed
He
penalty.
got very lucky. So I want to say it's coming home, and I want the crowd to be a big factor, but I don't know, man. I'm a bit skeptical.
Bro,
Is it a full house?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will be.
Nah, wait.
It's 60.
90,000. It's not 90,000.
Nah, be real.
It's the same.
Yeah,
It's the same.
It will be.
30.
It's not
It's
90,000.
Oh,
Let me have a
fair
look.
enough.
It's,
I
it's,
I thought it's 60.
yeah,
know
but
what I
Wembley
mean?
holds 90,000, so it's not going to be a full house.
It'll be 67,500. I think that's the capacity.
Yeah, it'll be 67. Yeah, so it's not going to be the 90,000, but
I
still
mean,
a
67
lot.
is
Still
big enough,
numbers.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Still
that's a
big enough.
lot. Still.
Dad, I was gonna say, bro, I feel like that's the Arsenal fan in you.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I didn't want to
Amen.
interrupt him though.
Arsenal just killed
Amen.
local football, bro.
Huh?
Arsenal, I feel like it's because Arsenal are just so dead. They've killed like all your positive thinking when it comes to
Nah, I wouldn't even say that. I
Bro.
wouldn't say that personally because we've all been through it as football fans. Like even Man United fans, I've had too much suffering this past couple years in football. I just need something, man.
But yeah, Denzel, is it coming home?
It's carried on.
It's coming on. Come on, England. Yeah. I think we can beat the Italians. I'm obviously very optimistic about this. 67,000 in Wembley. Everyone saw the scenes after we went through in the semis. It's a lot of pressure on the lads. I'm very proud that they've got to this stage. But imagine the scenes if we actually bring it home. Imagine like Central London's gonna be, but the whole nation's gonna be jumping.
Hey, national holiday, bruv. National
National
holiday.
holiday, man.
You have to.
Catch me in Central. I'll be watching the game. I'll be hopping on buses if we win. I'm telling you, man. Come on, like yeah. I'm gonna go with England.
I heard that. What about you, Sarah? What are you saying?
Oh, mate. Oh, don't know. Okay. We can win, but people shouldn't be up. I know it's hard to say, but people shouldn't be upset if we lose. Like, it's a huge achievement to get to this stage. And yeah, we could be like, okay, these opportunities don't come up too often, like once in a lifetime and all that. But, we weren't expected to get this far, maybe a semi-final again or whatever, but people were expecting us to do worse. So, mate, as long as we play well, we get close, we don't get smashed or anything, I'm all happy.
Oh, that's a losing mentality. So I'm sorry, mate. Come on, man.
I'm just being real. I'm just being real.
You're not
Like,
getting
it's just not.
smashed. Come on, man. Nah, I hear that, man. But come on, man. You gotta want to win, man. Not none of this. Let's not get smashed. England, and besides, England are on par with Italy anyway, so I don't think
Yeah.
there should be a worry about. There shouldn't be any worry about a golfing quality and stuff like that, in my opinion. Sarah, you gotta be more confident, man. Believe.
It's the West Ham
Mate.
fan in him.
That's what I was gonna say. Let's start fan.
Well, okay. If I'm wrong, then you'll see he's sniffing some coke or something.
Whoa.
Hey.
What's
going on here?
Drug use.
You might have to be
Do not promote that.
Oh my gosh.
These represent the views of Sarah Dillon. These do not represent the views
That
of
really
Sarah
is the West
Heritage.
Ham fan in it, bro.
Aaron, what are you saying?
Nah, man. Ole Gunnar Southgate, man, is coming home. It's simple as that.
Right.
Coming home. It's simple as that.
Even when he's doing well, he's getting mocked.
Well, don't say that.
How is it mocking it? How is it mocking it? Denzel, I know you understand it. When you look at him, yeah, you can just hear Ollie's voice in your head. I know you can. When you see
Nah,
Southgate,
Mm.
I know you can see it. I know you can.
I go for big.
What, really?
Go for big.
The way everything he
Not
does,
really.
everything about the way he plays, the way he manages it, I can just see it.
He just needs
If you're talking about his a vibes, wait, are we saying he's a vibes manager or something?
No, not
That's
like
so
that. But you know, the way he doesn't
He's-
make changes, I don't. It just.
Yeah,
I don't know.
a little bit, hints of it, but I wouldn't compare him to Oli. Hopefully, we actually get a trophy at the end of this and don't. But what a penalty shootout.
You know we
So,
should
yeah.
call him Sir Alex Southgate, bro. That's his new name.
Whoa, let's chill with
Sir
that.
Alex
Let's
Southgate,
not-
bro. If he wins,
If we win,
wins
he's
the
getting a
Euros,
knighthood.
Sir Alex
Yeah.
Southgate, bro. That's what
Bro,
we call him.
you gotta
Yeah,
call
he
him
will.
Sir Southgate.
Yeah.
What's his
Sir
name?
Gareth Southgate,
Yeah.
Sir Raheem Sterling, Sir Barry Kane, whatever, Sir Harry Maguire.
Oh my god.
Everyone's getting knighthoods, mate. Obviously, it's not a World Cup thing for
Man
everyone.
said
to get
Sir
knighthood.
Aaron Ramsdale. Oh my
Oh
god.
god. Wait, Sir Ben White, you know, great
That's
signing
mad.
for Arsenal.
That's mad. But for me,
Declan Rice.
I wanted to come home, man, because of Southgate slander. I was part of them. I didn't really believe in Southgate, but bro, when he's done this well, man, you want to see success. So obviously, I'm gonna be cheering on England, man, all the way, man. So I think it's coming up. It's coming up, mate. It's coming. It's coming. It's already in Wembley anyway. It's just about whether we can get it to stay permanently. So we're nearly there, lads. We're nearly there. But Carl, what are you saying, man?
I got to be honest. If this was group stage or before the Spain-Italy game, I would have said long day for everyone. It was easy. But now we've seen Italy get exposed. They got exposed by Spain. We've seen Harry Kane back in full effect. He's back now. Group stage. I mean, a knockout stage. Harry Kane on a Mazar. Gareth Southgate got everything right in the knockout stages. We're not passion merchants, but the geezers full effect. Wembley going off. Lambert's going off. The fans behind them, like we're not Liverpool to be saying, oh, it's the fans, but the effect on the game that the fans will have, Wembley is going off. It's going to be crazy. To England, they're taking it, man. They got a good chance. I'm not going to try to jinx anything, but they got a very good chance. I don't want to be like the victims, like Sarah said about we have to celebrate what we've done so far. But he got a point, honest. You can't cry if you lose in there. Yeah, that's what I gotta say.
I mean, if you lose on penalties,
Yeah,
That's painful.
Can I say one thing about pens, by the way?
30 years of hate.
You see, if the Denmark-England game went pens,
Denmark would have
Michael was saving every single
yep,
penalty,
yep.
100%. England were getting booted out. That guy was not.
He was not letting anything past him.
Literally.
bro, that save
Can
that
I-
he made against Maguire, bruv. I've been
Insane.
saying I got high socks in Michael, bruv. That is
Crazy.
Yeah.
man.
Can I just quickly say, I think we need to spare a thought for Ore, because if he was here today, right now on this video, we would probably be supporting Italy and probably trying to bring reason and football philosophy into why Italy are gonna win. So let's not forget Ore. I'm gonna pretend to be Ore. I think Italy will win. You know, don't clip that.
Balls
But
Italy. That's what he's.
if Ore was here, he would probably say something like that. He would probably
I
say
feel
something
alright,
like that.
man.
Yeah, big up,
Yeah, big up
man.
Ore.
Big up Ore.
But it's coming home.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
month.
But what's it called? Last topic here. One word answer. Who has been the player of the tournament? Let me start with Sarah. Who's been your player of the tournament?
Ah, man.
That's 2 words already, isn't it? Is he frozen?
Lad.
Yo-Star.
Yeah,
Yo-Star. You know you want to say it.
Yeah, say it.
You know who it is.
Chiellini.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
Controversial.
Oh,
Yeah, okay. Aaron.
Raheem Sterling, no problem.
Wow. Denzel.
God save Raheem. Raheem Sterling, lad.
Dan.
Has he even played that well though? If
No,
you know.
he hasn't.
Oh, here we go.
Hey,
Here
Sam,
we
what do you
go.
mean?
Watch football, mate. Come on,
Yeah,
sir. Let's
let's
not
not
be
play
silly
that.
here.
It's Raheem
He
Sterling.
hasn't played that well, but he's done his thing. He's done his thing.
He's done
his-
what he needs to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been
So,
better than ever, in my opinion. Well, it depends on who wins, but yeah.
Dan.
Yeah, Raheem Sterling.
Carl.
G5 stocks, all-time high. Chelsea, bringing the Prem next season. Ballon d'Or soon come. You know the vibes.
Hey, respect
That's
yourself,
okay.
man. Respect yourself.
Italian Lee Cattermole, bro. Get this come out.
Let me
Nah,
let me
it's
see,
only
let me-
2 players. Raheem Sterling or J5 for me personally.
Nah, it's not about if you get to the final. I'm looking at other players, man.
It's not bad to get to the
Jorginho's a
final.
good shout. Jorginho is a good shout. It's a shame. I was saying if Pogba didn't get knocked out early.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
If
This
England
guy's trying
won
to be
in
a
this
hipster.
final, no, if England won in this final, Pogba would win it. There would be no performances that would say if it was Italy and Denmark, no matter who played well in that game, it would still be Pogba for me. But it has to be Sterling now.
Let me
Josh,
look
you
at
don't
it.
have to be edgy, man. Just you
No
don't have to be
lie.
edgy.
Stop trying to be a hipster,
Bro.
Josh. Just say
Yeah,
Raheem.
man.
Bro, you guys know me. I'm about technique.
Nah,
Raheem
man,
don't do.
this is
I respect what Raheem's done because
Bro,
obviously
the
the hate.
Baguette
But
boys got
He's
bounced
been
in
good.
round one. Like, allow it, man. The Baguette boys were out
The
early.
Get Boys. They're in
Like,
Cancun
allow
on
it.
holiday, bro.
Exactly,
Josh,
man.
you
Yeah.
The
J5.
man is sipping pina coladas. He's in the party with Burner Boy. You saw the Instagram stuff, man. Allow that. He's not playing the tournament. Like, I love Pogba, but allow it, man.
Nah,
Come
you
on.
would have been. His performances. Nah, I have to go. I have to go J5, man. Sterling, I respect what he's done in it because
J5.
yeah, no, I respect what Sterling's done because of the hate that he was getting beforehand in it, and he's really shown that he deserves to play in it. But performance wise, you know me, I'm about performances. I don't stats. Cool. This is why I said Ronaldo can't be in that contention thing, bro. I'm about the eye test, bro. 90 minutes, what are you doing?
Ronaldo's still top
And-
goal scorer.
No, you can't disrespect Ronaldo. Fantastic goal scorer. He's a bit of an iffy player, but fantastic goal scorer. But yo, I'm gonna have to say Jorginho. Just keeping it sweet, sweet and simple. I'm sorry.
Can I just quickly say, can we spare a thought for all of the favorites, the so-called favorites,
True.
Oh yeah.
who like dancing in Cancun right now, sipping on cocktails,
Wallahi.
enjoying family time, father time, all that. Shout out Portugal, shout out Belgium, shout out
Germany.
France, shout out all of them, Germany, the
We got
Germans.
packed.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, man. You man
Honestly.
did your thing, innit?
KDB dusted, bro. KDB
Yeah,
so
man.
dusted.
No, man, I heard it. Most of our predictions, like, because I remember I said Belgium in it, so yeah, it's a bit of a sticky one still. You man, that's another episode done. The Euro final preview. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your people. We'll probably be back after the Euros to see if it really did come home or if it went away. You know, them ones there. But you man, there's gonna be a watch along for the Copa, so you man better watch out for that. But yeah, man, big up Aaron for coming up. Big up Carl as well. Big up David and Jack. You know, them ones there. Love for coming on. But yeah, people, till next time, see you. Peace.